Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Insightful Conversations with your host, Krishna Radha. Today, our guest, he was born in Germany. His name is Jaydeep. He was 3 years old when his parents put him in a children's home run by the state for the next 8 years. And his mother got him home again when he was 11. This early turmoil and having to grow up faster made him question the society and its system. He left high school just before graduation and tried to fill the void in his life with drugs like hashish and LSD. At 26, something in him changed. This change wasn't sudden. When Jaya was 17, he watched a documentary about Mount Kailash. He instantly fell in love with it, and it became a longing in him to visit the Himalayas. However, his mother managed to get him interested in movie business. He worked on documentaries and avant garde German films as a soundman and a camera technician with some very pretty well known names such as Wim Wenders and Fassbinder. However, he found behind the scenes world of movies not very attractive, and even though it was good money, he quit. Let's hear from Prem Jayadip, his story, which is full of surprises and unrelenting exploration from him. So please welcome Jaydeep. Hello, Jaydeep.
Hello, Radha. Namaste and
Namaste.
welcome. And thank you for having me. You say that in America, I think. So here I am. You have me. So go ahead.
Yeah, Jaydeep, you have whatever I read about your bio that you sent me, and it's a fascinating. You were a young man. You were very politically active, wanting to change the world. What were you trying to change? What was bothering you?
What was bothering me? Okay, looking back a long time ago, I mean, I basically felt uh, that the whole world is kind of based on lies. Yeah, so I didn't feel the real truth there, and then I felt like this. Uh, how to say, the establishment or something.
Mm-hmm.
I was born after the war, in the fascist situation with Hitler, and so when I grew up, this energy was still kind of there, and the Germans tried to cope with this, and they still have this up to date in their blood as shame or as something. But there were also still a lot of these fascist tendencies there, and you see them now arising again.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, um, so I didn't like that, and I felt there's more, but I didn't know what that actually is. But I early on in my childhood, I already was in contact with Christian spirituality, and I dropped it then when I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
Probably also because of the whole child children home situation. I I felt it's all very unfair, and I wasn't very happy. So so I had a lot of anger. I need to say I actually had a lot of anger, and and so I think it was a way to vent that anger to the direction where I perceived it is from at that time. Yeah. So the motivation was I wanted to change the world for the better, but I
Yeah.
didn't know what is actually the better. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but we had this kind of hippie movement, and we were at that time in the flower power, and this all happened there, and we thought we can find love, or we can bring love, or can peace, or know it better. But it's of course not so easy as I know by now.
Yeah. So your life progressed, but you were living with gorillas in Guatemala and spending a night in the active volcano in Guatemala. You wanted to know what fear is. Why was it so important?
Because I feel for myself and in general that fear is motivation how to coerce people to shut down.
Mm.
You know, like if you see your current president in America or something, they're working through fear. They're just instigating fear, and that paralyzes people, and people feel they are yeah, their fear for their life, and then the survival instinct kicks in, and then they go beyond any reasoning and just say thank you, and I agree, and just leave me at peace.
But you
And
were a young man, right? For how old were you when you decided to go explore your fears and face them head on?
it started actually earlier than what you say about the Guatemala situation when I was on the most active volcano. That was kind of the peak of this kind of thing. But I did it already earlier. I always was intrigued by it, and I did all kind of things which make me, which I felt I'm afraid of, in order to explore what happens when you are in fear.
Mm.
Yeah,
And how was that
and
experience for you when you were in
yeah,
that
when I
when you were in that active in that site where the volcano is active, or when you were
oh.
with the gorillas? They're very dangerous people. Like,
I mean, it's terrifying, you know, like when I was on the volcano, the fire spreading and the stones flying around me, and any moment I could have been killed. And like this, so I really faced the fear of death.
mhm,
And why do I have the fear of death? And but I had also the motivation to not be bogged down by that. So I really was a fighter. I just wanted to fight that. Like I fight the society, which I felt do that kind of things,
mhm,
and I fight people and the injustice and whatever atomic power and anything which was at that time also very much there. And
mhm,
of course, at that time, I was young and didn't really understand from what I can see, but I thought I understand, you know, like young
mhm,
people like this think they know everything. And unfortunately, only life tells you later that things are not that simple.
mhm,
And so, but feeling the fear and feeling I can survive, you know, was what was something which something cooked up in me, I think,
mhm,
you know, unconsciously. I mean, I don't think it was just my personal thing. It was something which come from deeper to let me understand something. And yeah,
You think because you grew up in a children's home, that anger was directed, the fear was part of your psyche when you were growing up? It was more prominently felt than compared to if you would have just grown up with your parents. You felt it more, and then that's when you.
yes, of course. Because actually, when you live in children home, I mean, there are people who take care of your living situations, but nobody take care about your problems really. You
Mm,
know, you just have to fall in line with whatever is the situation. But um, there was nobody guiding. You know, so I constantly had to face life without really um, having a guidance of how to deal with that. So I'm constantly also under threat because I'm going against the unknown
mm,
and never knowing that what would that do? Is that good, or will it somehow harm me, or you know?
mm,
So I had no guidance, and so I think that that was maybe one of the things why fear was important.
yeah. So
and
you.
and it was I felt it as a limitation and at the same time as opening.
Hmm.
I later understand, also later when I work with people in sessions or classes or something, they all have fears. When you come closer to your inner things, you get afraid, because you also have to let go of something. And I say the fear is a guardian of the big thing, of the better thing behind, and you have to overcome that guardian. And if you do, then uh, then you see the fear is actually an illusion.
Hmm.
As and that's on the inner journey. On the outer, you have to be careful. If the train come, you better jump out of the way. So I don't mean like that, but at that time I was only outward oriented. But it helped me later to understand on the inner journey what fear does also and how to overcome.
Yeah. So, you also had an out of body experience near another volcano that you went. It was a peaceful one, not an active one,
Yes.
thankfully. And you said that experience fundamentally changed you. What happened there? What changed?
I mean, maybe first what happened. I mean, I was spending the night I think it was a full moon night, on the San Pedro volcano in Lago Atitlan in Guatemala also. And so I spent the night, and then there came the morning and sunrise, and the sunrise was between clouds. So you had the red of the sunrise below and up above,
Mm,
and the sun rose in between with all its colorful situations. And that I felt just overwhelmingly beautiful. It was so beautiful. I don't know how I experienced that for whatever reason, I was no more in my body. I was somehow around my body, above my body.
mm,
And uh, at that time, as I said, I was political, I was atheistic, and had no preparation for anything like that. So I desperately tried to go back into my body, which I couldn't do for 24 hours.
mm,
And uh, and so, but if that would happen now, I would welcome it. I would use it in a very different way. But at that time, I couldn't relax into it, and I thought that's weird, and I have to go back because how can I live? Anyway, so uh, what changed is that I totally experiential, without any knowledge about it, knew that I am not my body and I am something else.
mm,
And uh, so so from then on, including that before I already dropped the political thing in the Guatemala fighting thing, I know you cannot force people to change. They have to change
mm.
by themselves, and can I change myself? And so that, of course, is a spiritual quest. And so it opened a spiritual thing, and I was trying to understand this. And of course, if you see that you are not the body, that you are not your mind, that you are not what you always think you were, your personality, you naturally know that, okay, there's a soul, there's a higher entity, or you're not even that, you know. And so the spiritual journey started.
Mm.
And but I had no clue how to do that.
Was
I,
it
I mean, I,
scary? Just like, did you even realize it's out of body experience? Were you just like, did you even understand that this was an out of body experience?
no, I never heard about that. I only experienced it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's clear. I mean, it's clear I'm not in my body. I mean, it's just my
Yeah.
experience. But I had never heard anything about that. At that time, I was maybe 26 or something like that.
Did you think you were dead? Like for some time? Did you?
That no, I didn't know. My I could still walk.
Okay.
I could still do things. I could go home, down the mountain, everything, but I was not in my body. I mean, I just see my body walking. It's probably like like people later. I read whoever they have operations, they die or something, and then they see themselves from above and see whatever happens.
Mm.
And uh, so that was working fine, but the center of perception was not within me.
Mm.
you know. And I mean, later, from meditation or from Osho or whatever you are pursuing on the spiritual path, that there is something called the higher self, but or is named the higher self. It's
Mm.
not even self to understanding now, but it's something beyond your personality structure.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to imagine, and like if I was that young and I didn't understand, I would be like just confused and like
Yes.
probably go to a
I
doctor
definitely.
and
Probably you would
probably
do
go to
what?
a doctor and say, "Hey, something's wrong with me."
Doctor, no, I was just in a third world country. No,
Yeah.
doctor. No, I wouldn't have thought about it also. I only, okay, that happened. And after some time, after a few hours, I felt, okay, that's like that, but I definitely need to go back. Otherwise, otherwise I get cuckoo or something like that, or people see me as cuckoo. I didn't actually feel cuckoo. I was only
Was
afraid.
it blissful just to watch yourself? Was it like, how was the feeling?
I mean, now when I see myself from a higher space or something, it's blissful. Then in meditation, you go in silence and you feel the joy, what you call ananda or something, and uh, so that there. But at that time, the absolute for me weirdness of the situation, totally unknown, didn't
Yeah.
allow me to enjoy that, and I would say I would regret now that I didn't know.
Did it happen to you again, Jaydeep? Did you happen? Did the same thing, the experience repeated ever again, or that was it one time?
I mean, definitely in meditation, I can feel that. I can see myself like that from above, or I feel myself not centered in the body, this kind of thing. But then is with understanding. I know. Okay, you you learn to watch your mind. You learn to watch your feelings and
Mm.
patterns and body and whatever. That's the three main centers,
Yeah.
and of course that is not from the mind. Of course that is not from your personality, but it is from awareness. Let's say, yeah.
Yeah.
So so,
It would be
so
fun actually, just if I would love it. Like I'm probably in an argument or in an action, and it's like I'm just watching it. That would be a fun thing, a fun experience.
yeah, but that's what the Osho's message and other
Yeah.
teachers is all about. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing. This is not something. I mean, I wouldn't say it's not very esoteric or something.
Mm.
Wow, wow, wow. Maybe sounds
Yeah.
strange or weird or something, or I want to do that. No, it is what happens
Witnessing.
all the time. Because without your center awareness, I make a difference between consciousness and
Mm.
awareness. It's
Mm.
in English, not a difference, but in India, you probably know the different words. And so now I lost a little bit what I wanted to say when I
You were
continued.
saying you make a difference between centering and awareness.
Yeah, so with consciousness and awareness,
Conscious.
so consciousness is from the mind. I mean, to my understanding, and the consciousness, that's your tool. Not only the here, but we have other centers and things where we perceive. But it's a lot from the mind or from the heart or from the Hara, depending where. And but this is only, how to say, borrowed from what I would say, awareness, yeah, from the or cosmic consciousness, if you want to do that, which is ever present, and it is like, maybe I could describe like a light bulb, or you have electricity.
Mm,
Electricity comes from somewhere else, and
mm,
it can drive any machine, anything which is capable of receiving electricity, and then does its own thing, which is very different from electricity. Electricity you don't see. Electricity is not
yeah,
something you really grasp easy. So a little bit like that. So the consciousness take it from awareness, and that source, wherever that is, we don't know.
true. So from there, from the Guatemala experience, we'll move on to you had a girlfriend who was very politically active, and she was the one who actually introduced Osho kind of to you. And it's a funny way you put it. She said, there's a guru called Osho who does Kundalini meditations, and he's trying to change the world through it, through energy, and it's a crazy dance. And when uh, you know it,
Shaking, yeah.
yeah, it's when people are shaking. It's I mean, it's true when you look it from the outside. That is exactly how it looks. So
Yes.
so she was the one who kind of popped the name to you, and then from there you had a vision of a book in your university library, and the book was by Gurdjieff. And so you took all the books that Gurdjieff had written, and you went to Greece and you read them all, and that's when you were ready to go to Pune. So tell me what happens in that period, like you're reading yourself. um how does the book, Gurdjieff book, help you?
Yeah, okay. It was actually Ouspensky book, In Search of the Miraculous is the name, and he was chief disciple of Gurdjieff.
Yeah.
And so, because Gurdjieff is a body type, so he wanted to use Ouspensky, who is a mind type, to express his things somehow.
Mm,
Anyway, so it catch me, it got me, and because when I after I had that experience out of body and all that, I actually have to say I was in a total confusion.
mm,
You know, I didn't have any guidance or something, and I went back to Germany, and I can say I thought I better leave this earth. I mean, I'm not part of this one here, and I had suicidal thoughts and all kind of things. So so that understanding which I at the time got from Gurdjieff, even I had already read a first Osho book, yeah, uh, gave me somehow an understanding of what maybe is the way to go.
mm,
Because first it's not like I had only the question, so so what is that,
mm,
you know, and I wanted to know if any answer somewhere, and then through Gurdjieff and then later Osho and other masters, I get the understanding. Okay, it's a spiritual situation, and that's where I can search for. It's not in the world.
mm.
So I went there, and I read, I don't know if you know Gurdjieff. I read the Beelzebub is a trilogy, and he wrote that book in a way that he read to his disciples, and if anybody understands what he was writing, he would change it. So this kind of book, I mean, totally crazy. And it's a big thing, three books, and he said I have to read it 3 times. I don't go into the details, but that made me ready for Osho.
Mm.
And then I understood what he meant, which I didn't understand when I read the book, The Way of the White Cloud.
Oh, you read the Way of the White Cloud. Okay. I
That
was
was
just
my
going to
book.
ask. Yeah, okay. I was going to ask you what was the book that you read. And
The Way of the White Cloud, and in there's a passage: you have to accept whatever you see.
hmm.
Now that ran contrary to my political uh, base from before, because I didn't accept that.
Hmm.
Okay. So, okay, later I understand what the meaning is, but in the beginning it was sorry, but that that I don't agree, but now I know that it's a very different thing, because if you are in awareness accepts everything,
Mm,
without judgment or something. That doesn't mean it's good or bad. There's no judgment. But at that time I didn't understand it.
mm, mm. So, Prem Jayadip, when you were ready to go to Pune, Bhagwan had already left for US, and you say that he had already abandoned his disciples, and you liked it, and that broke the last barrier between you and him.
Mm.
What did you like about this?
Yeah, because I mean, of course, I heard before things about guru and things like that, and there are many stories where people also get dependent, sects, cults. People get losing their mind. They just bow down to anything, and I felt like, okay, maybe Osho is somebody like that,
Mm,
and and I didn't like that, because I don't want to just get stupid,
mhm,
and just follow anybody just because he is somebody.
mhm.
And uh, so, uh,
And later
but then,
and you did realize that it wasn't abandoning, but at that moment it looked like that, and then,
yeah,
um,
because I got the Spiegel magazine. It's a German magazine. I
yeah,
mean, I was on a Greek island, far away
yeah,
from anything,
yeah.
and it was front page, because Osho was quite famous at that time,
Mhm,
and there it's written, the guru abandoned all his disciples, you
mm,
know
mm,
and that I felt so great. I said, okay, so he's not just dependent on his disciples, he
mhm,
is doing his own thing. And you know
mm,
I mean, that was a big barrier for me
mm.
before, in accepting any guru, anybody. I mean, I was anarchist before,
Yeah, you did
and
mention, yeah, that you were an
yeah,
atheist almost, right?
I was.
You were an atheist, right? You said
It is,
atheist.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I didn't, artists don't accept anybody, just because, yeah, whatever. I don't need to go into that, but uh, it was because before I thought God is is a one, and then somehow I felt through the way of the church that it is not. So I think it's all bullshit. So then there's nobody left. So I have to be on my own.
Mm,
you know, and uh, and then follow, go against atheists. So I feel, because my whole life basically is based on spirituality, atheism is one part of spirituality, but it's just the
mhm, mm,
anti part,
mhm.
and I live that, and it's great, and then I could switch back to
Right.
spirituality, and yeah,
Yeah, I
answer that
remember
your question.
Osho saying in one of his lectures that a atheist at least is 100% honest. He's saying, I don't believe, and he's very honest
Yes, yes,
about it,
yes.
instead of just saying that I believe in something and you don't really believe, but you just bow down because it's safer and feels better, whatever. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
said, I remember that discourse. He said specifically, it's a beginning of spirituality. When you say I'm an atheist, that's the beginning of spirituality,
Oh
because
yeah,
you,
I don't know that quote, but
yeah,
I can
I
relate.
think
I,
something
I
like
can
that.
relate
Some
to
like
that.
he's like
Yes,
you're being at least honest, completely honest about something, and
yes, yes. And I know because I've been dancing on many spiritual paths. I miss many spiritual things, and including Osho community or something. There is a lot of just belief.
yes.
And it really has its. Now I understand that also belief has its function, its spiritual function. It's
Mm.
not just bad, but
But belief
uh,
from awareness, right? Belief when it comes from awareness.
no, I mean, I see that belief. There are many paths in spirituality how you can reach maybe higher spaces, or when every religion have different paths. Like the Hindu religion is different than the Buddhist, and the Buddhist just okay, just go for awareness. And in Hindu there's a lot of bhakti, so you go with the love, and then you don't question, you don't think,
mm,
You just surrender. And
mm,
it's also a path, you
mm.
know. But I feel like both of them together is better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just a blind belief can I mean was not my thing. And but you see that in many, and including Osho's community,
Mm.
a blind belief without understanding.
Which is very, he is completely against any belief systems. He just squashes every belief system. He doesn't
Yeah.
even want anyone to believe in him,
Yes.
his, because I think he reached his way through doubts and through questioning and seekings.
Yes, yeah, and you need to do that. I feel questioning is a very, very important thing. And but one thing also, I mean, since you talk about it, I mean, he trashed almost every spiritual uh, master or something and belief system or something. And there, for example, there is a misunderstanding, to my understanding, in the disciples. He didn't trash the people in
Mm.
per se. That he wanted to kick you out of your belief system.
Yes.
Yeah, but that is not easy understood. and
Mm.
and then people really went against all religions.
Yeah.
you know Others think only Osho is maybe the right one, but everybody else, and that is very dangerous. And to my understanding, that went to the downfall of Osho,
Mm.
at the end, because of course you cannot just I mean, you can, but you cannot expect that this system, which is much vaster than anybody,
But
will
then
attack you.
he was rebellious to the core, right?
Yes, yes,
He
and
was very rebellious, and
that's
that
great.
was his, yeah,
Yeah, and I understand why he was doing, but to my understanding, if you don't understand that, that is against your belief system,
yeah,
against that you just take in any kind of dogma and just take it,
yeah.
you know, you have to drop it.
Mm,
But
mm.
that doesn't mean the Christian or the Buddha or anybody is fundamentally wrong. It's just different paths, but we have to understand it as a let's say technique.
Also, I feel when Buddha was giving his sermons or Mahavir was giving it, there was no recording. And usually, these enlightened masters, they talk to a person or a group, and what the energy levels are, and it's not necessarily for the other person who hears it in a different time and space. It's for
Mm,
that person during that time.
mm, mm,
And the other people were never recorded, whereas Osho was constantly recorded and he was answering questions and stuff. So
mm,
sometimes I
mm.
think his answers could also be misunderstood in
Oh,
that
they
way.
do, and you can get, and he has warned about it. That's
Yeah,
why I say I constantly contradict myself.
yeah,
So you don't take this as a belief, you
yeah,
know. Because everything in existence has its truth, has its place,
yeah.
but nothing that is universal. It's just a facet of a small fragment of the whole, to my
Mm.
understanding.
Yeah, yeah. So, you took sannyas in Germany in 1981, and in your sannyas application, you said you wanted to join the ranch, but
Mm,
Bhagwan replied back saying that you should put all your energy in the rise of movement in Europe. So, you did that by working and raising money to support the ranch. Um, but you went to the ranch for the first time during the World Celebration, and you were shocked by when you met Osho by the total emptiness you felt in him.
mm,
Can you describe that meeting? How did you see him and what happened?
yeah. So before I knew Osho only, I mean, through pictures, when I go to center and I fall in love with those pictures and I read the books and I see videos and from discourses, all this kind of thing, but I never saw him himself. So of course I see only the outer facade of it. And when I went to the first World Celebration in '82 on the range. It's the first time I encounter him in person in the big Buddha Hall for the festival, and and then again all my visions about him, which was kind of outer, what he say, what he does, how he looks, that broke down because I looked deeper, because I experienced his field, his
Mm,
energy,
mm,
and and I was shocked to see there's nothing. I mean, I understood it as nothing. There's
mm,
nothing,
mm.
and that was a big shock because again, what does that mean? There's nothing, He do all the things, you follow that guy, and so, but as always, if something feel very strong, I try to find out what is that nothing.
Mm.
Yeah. So it was not repellent or something wrong with Osho, but I felt, well, there's something I really don't know.
Were you in a discourse with him? Were you like, did you, were you just close and watching him, or how was
Yeah,
him?
yeah. I mean, I in the world celebration at that time, it was already he didn't talk, right? So we had these satsangs and darshans, and everybody came together. I think morning, evening, something like that. And so there was music, and then there was silence and humming and gadshamis,
Yeah.
and this kind of thing. And he was just sitting there. I mean, he came in and sit there, and at the end go out again. And so it was just this huge field of thousands of sannyasins
Mm,
coming together again after he left India, probably, and many new people like me who have not been in Pune one. And so he's just there. And he actually did nothing, basically. He's sitting there, and maybe in the music he did something, but uh, so there's no talking except the quote. They were playing two times some quote, but
mm.
that was not so important for me. For me, it was just the field with him, being with him, seeing that person and the vastness of what he somehow
It's
represents.
I've interviewed some other sannyasins with him, and a few of them had similar experiences. Said if you look into his eyes, it's almost
Mm,
like you're disappearing and there's nothing there, and then
mm,
you
mm,
just pull yourself back because
yes.
you will disappear and it's gone.
Mm,
So I
yeah.
there were a few other people who mentioned like something similar to what you're saying. So yeah.
Yes. Yes. So of course later I understand more about that, but it intrigued me so much. So
Do you think
I
if
mean,
people, if a person just kept looking, he would be enlightened? Just if he just went in without that fear of losing, they would just,
mm, that I can't say because
yeah.
it's very individual and depends on each person's makeup. I mean, I didn't get enlightened just meeting him and seeing his nothing, but it it does something, like I mean, what is satsang or darshan? You just being with the master, and it's not about what he say or what he does or something. It's just being in his what we call presence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me also the total nothingness I experience. I wouldn't call it an empty nothingness. It's not like there's nothing.
Hmm.
There is a present. I mean, the nothing or existence or however you want to call it is still a present.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
but it is something where you cannot go beyond. You
Mm.
can only be it, and experience it is in that energy field or something you can tune in and you can experience. I mean, I have sitting with Osho so many times later on also, and so the vibration, if you tune in, then you get a temporary experience of that. Yeah, like for example, in the end, in the last discourses before he died, or maybe it's a half year or something, he guide us to the Hara,
mm,
and and then go there, and then finally you come to also that kind of space of, well, there's nothing, there is just the presence, and then bam, the drum beat, and he called us back, and now come back, and I hated him for that. And then you do all these things to get us there, and then you just pull us out again. I was angry about that. But later I felt it was really a master technique, because you learn how to go there and you learn how to come back,
mm,
because you can also disappear there, and
mm,
then you are basically useless in some way. If you go from the world, and I mean, he had the concept of Zorba the Buddha, and okay,
mm,
Zorba, many of us know very well, but Buddha is a little bit different,
mm,
and and we need to get a connection to this. And I think, at least for me, that happened for me, that I learned, go in, go out, go in, go out.
mm, mm. That's interesting.
Mhm.
So you went to Greece with him and then again to Bombay when he was basically he went away from America.
Yeah.
But since he wasn't talking, you decided to go to the Himalayas. And on the way, you stopped in Jabalpur when where Osho had been enlightened under the tree. You sat under the same tree, and you say
Mhm.
you had a Samadhi experience. Was it Satori you're mentioning? Was it like a Satori like
No, it's
experience?
another thing. I mean, the story, what I talked later to you, is another thing. But the Samadhi experience under the tree in Jabalpur, where he got enlightened, was there was satsang playing. I mean, the center of Jabalpur, or around there, they made the satsang there, music and all this kind of thing. And I was sitting there, and I disappeared. And I mean, I literally disappeared. I had no sensation, nothing, and only hours later, everybody was gone. I somehow came back, and so that was an experience also new to me, of total deprivation of everything what your sensory body somehow provides to your brain to keep you rooted here and doing things. And yeah, so that was another deep thing. And then I thought, and then I hear, Osho talk again in Bombay. So I said, okay, I have to go back. So just bye bye. And I arrived maybe by 2 o'clock, and then I dirty and stinking and everything, and I asked if I can have a seat tonight, and yes, I could have. So I take shower, and then I go to Sumila, see Osho, and what he did is he got my question I asked many months ago, and I made it there, and I feel that is fascinating.
Was it the
So that
question in
was
the
it.
Sermon of Stones, the one you mentioned,
Yeah,
chapter 9?
sermons in stone. Yes,
Yeah.
chapter
So
9.
you asked basically whenever you talk, maybe you can say it better because it was.
Oh, I don't remember.
I
I could,
remember
but
because yesterday
basically,
night.
I was saying, because I was afraid. There was this kind of thing. Okay, he say great things, uh, and then I also felt I say great things, or I have some things which I hear myself talking. I hear myself talking, but I don't know where this is coming from. I didn't plan to say that.
Mm,
It's like this way. Okay, watching yourself saying something which often I have not even considered, or
mm,
consciously thought about it, or something. And so I said something like, "Did I become a parrot of your words?"
yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
like this. And
Am I imitating you, Osho, just by listening to you?
yeah,
Am
yeah,
I?
just listening. I just,
Yeah.
okay,
Am I also becoming a
I
parrot?
can also say that, and
Yeah.
I don't know really where it's come from, but probably I heard you say that, and I,
Yeah.
like a parrot, just repeat your words and something, and yeah, he somehow said, no, no, you're not a parrot. But I
Yeah.
don't have that really present. It's what, 1986,
Yeah.
and I
I
have read it.
read it yesterday night. It's
Ah,
Sermon on the Stones, chapter 9, question 1. So if anybody wants to go, and Osho answers
yeah.
it, and he says it very beautifully. So,
Yeah, and this kind of thing encouraged me then also later to don't, because how to say, I mean, one of the main things of Osho was surrender, right? Surrender, but you can understand it, surrender to him and surrender to the big guy and just shut up, or you see it as the ego surrender to something bigger,
mm,
and that's not easy, you
mm,
know. But uh, then just later, when I do groups, when I do sessions or things like that, I just surrender to whatever is there. Okay, we have a structure, but then you don't know what's going to happen. And can you allow that to happen?
mm,
You
mm,
know? And because he encouraged me in some way and said, no, no, you're not Parrot, it's fine, and something like that. So I allowed that to happen more. And like, was I leading dynamic in Buddha Hall in Pune or something, or leading uh, who is in class or something, and I say things I don't know. I felt I don't know, but sounds great, and just just go with it, just allow it to happen. Of course, I mean, if it might come in, you have to see that there's no bullshit either or something. But like in sessions or in classes, sometimes I felt, uh, the people there, uh, they get something, but maybe I get more than them, because it's for me also new,
mm.
and learning about that. So yeah, that
Yeah.
was,
You then went to the Himalayas and you stayed with Yog Chinmaya.
yes,
You're the second person I'm interviewing. One was, I don't know if you know Bodhichitta.
I know
He,
him. Yeah, I also met him in
yeah, so he stayed with Yog Chinmaya too, I think he in Nepal.
yes, yes, yes.
So how was that? Tell me a little bit about Yog Chinmaya and what you did there and how long were you there?
Yeah, I was two times altogether, around 1 year in between. I don't know what I think I went to the West to make some money, something like that, but then went back there. So, um, I had always a longing to go to the Himalayas, and
Mm-hmm.
I drive to Pokhara because he was, before I giving yoga classes. I wasn't there when he gives these yoga classes. He went back to his ashram in Pokhara, and anyway, I heard people say, "Oh, if you go, you can go. There is an ashram," because I don't know where to go in Himalaya. It's a huge thing,
Yeah.
and so I decided to go to Pokhara, and I arrived there in the night. I mean, already dark, 8, 9 o'clock in the night, and there was a satsang going on whatever he was doing there, his energy work, uh, and somebody. I mean, I knocked the gate or something. Somebody came and okay, you just go to the room, and it's dark. I don't see anything, and then uh, in the morning, my room didn't have windows towards the Himalayas, so just towards outside toilet. So I went there, and only when I come back from the toilet, I see this Annapurna range behind. I could send you a picture if you want. And I was so stunned,
Mm,
because I didn't know where I am, and I see this, and I mean, I was just overwhelmed. And then many years later, I spent many, many years in the Himalayas later, but that's another thing. But that was my first impression there. And then coming to Chinmaya, something like this. So there was a community, basically Indians and Nepali people. Some Westerners came and go, and My first encounters with him were when the eating, he came or came not to the eating, and then the eating sometimes lasted for hours because, like, for example, bodhicitta asking questions or other people asking questions, and he uh, he said beautiful things, and also about Osho, because he was general secretary in the beginning, something. So he knew Osho quite intimately, and so that was my first more intimate understanding of the inner working of Osho, at least through the eyes of Yog Chinmaya.
Mm,
And I learned to understand also the Indian mind, which before I said I don't understand that.
mm,
How are they like they are? And
mm.
uh, so that was one of the big things. And
Can you tell
later,
me, Prem Jayadip, because you have been in the West and you have also now you live in the East
in
with your
Taiwan, yeah.
soulmate Taiwan,
Mhm.
and you've spent so many years in different masters and in the Himalayas trekking, and then what is the difference between the Eastern mind and the Western mind? Is there such a thing, and what is it?
Yeah, I mean, of course, every country and even every city may have a special conditioning. It's how even the different parents form your mind in some way and your vision, which is imposed on maybe what you bring to the world also. And but you also bring something. I see this. We have a grandchild now, and it's very beautiful to see. Anyway, so um, what was your question?
I wanted to know because what is the difference, how you see between the
Eastern and
East
Western mind. Yeah.
mind?
Okay. So um, maybe one of the main differences I would see between the Eastern and the Western mind.
And this is
The
generalization. I'm sure there are exceptions, and we don't want to
Yeah,
put
sure.
every.
It's very general. I
Yeah,
mean,
very,
very
yeah,
general.
yeah,
But there is something which I felt is quite different. Uh, while the West is much more outer oriented, and have a very much stronger protection and ego structure for the competition and everything which work. And there's so much emphasis the individual, on
mhm,
the individual self, your personality, and whatever you represent in the world. And everybody invests hell of a lot of this into that. And if that would be gone, then they have nothing. So it's very important. On the Eastern, there are less. I mean, now the world is all coming together in some way, but the general thing in the Eastern mind is they are not having this developed ego structure in the sense of how it is in the West. It's not so solidified,
yeah,
you know. It's much more fluid, and the ego is more a collective, a collective thing. So there are uh, you are not just individual. You are also part of a whole, and you surrender much more to the whole than while you ask as a Westerner to surrender to me, to my understanding, or the fighting, or things like that. So I think the biggest thing is the difference between the individual and in the West and the not so individual in the East, and both are lack something, because in the West you need more seeing that you are not alone here, and the other thing is also to see that you are represent something. You are not just floating water somewhere.
yeah,
I mean, extremely sad like that, but
yeah.
that's how I see the big difference. And bringing that together, I feel, is one of the important things.
So, Jaideep, you also had another initiation with a Buddhist master, Thich Nhat Hanh,
Thich Nhat Hanh, yeah. Mm.
and I'm going to put his
Oh, yeah.
picture. Yeah. He's
Yes,
very
yes.
well known. I think most of the people know about
No,
him.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and he is into Buddhism, which is more in the engagement type of Buddhism.
Mm,
He had the plum village where you could
right.
go from. So you said you were initiated by him and you learned to relax about death from him.
It was after Osho left already, long time ago, and from him, I somehow understand about the nothingness.
Mm,
With I didn't really get that from Osho in the understanding level, but somehow it happened with with him, with the Buddhist way, which just they go totally to. They don't talk about the individual. They don't. There's nothing. Everything is just nothing and something.
yeah,
And
Nirvana. Yeah.
I told you when I saw Osho for the first time, I realized there is a huge nothingness, but I didn't understand. I
Mm,
didn't understand what is that, and I don't know if I understand it now. I don't know if that is at all understandable. But with Thich Nhat Hanh and that way and the Buddhist way and things like that, I relaxed into that. You
mm,
know, yes, you are not you are just a manifestation of something much bigger, and that we call nothingness because we have no way to understand that. Because then we would have to go beyond that nothing
mm,
or existence, something like that. But we can feel it, we can see it,
mm,
and so that somehow I don't know why, but I understood it through Thich Nhat Hanh because it's a Buddhist way, and they go for nirvana. I mean, not so much about enlightenment, but more nirvana, just blowing off the candle, and then there's nothing left. And then later I understand that Osho also talked about it, but
yeah.
I didn't understand it experiential until I met Thich Nhat Hanh.
Mm,
And he then also went because he got a stroke, and then that was,
yeah.
he went back. Mm.
So, you, from whatever conversation we had, and you were mostly logical, intellectual, wanting to learn more in your head kind of a person, very cautious about people who asked for, who were more like into devotion or surrendering and stuff. And maybe that's one of the reason, like it takes time, and sometimes it's just the age and the right moment when you let things sink into you.
Yeah,
But
I wouldn't actually say that I'm a mind type and I'm interested in the concepts in that sense, because actually I'm a body type.
mm,
I'm a doer, things like that,
mm.
and that's how I perceive things.
I was going to ask you that you had a Satori experience in which made you realize that the male path of meditation without the female path is very dry, and
Mm,
so devotion, and you said you kind of looked down on the devotion for some
mm,
time in your life,
mm,
and that
many times, yeah.
this made you realize that they both together um make sense.
Yes. So, I mean, like India is a lot of devotion in
Yeah.
India, which is also the big conflict between Eastern and Western sannyasins
Hmm.
because both of them each other don't understand each other very
Hmm.
good. And so for me, because I had a wounded heart, wounded childhood, everything, so I closed my heart, so very difficult to open up, and so my defenses, I just looked down on it. I just disregard it as something you you should not go to, But in one, because we had this, I was working School of Centering, and we did Who is In and Satori groups, and later become also a facilitator for that. But in one in one of my own where I did for myself, I realized that just doing the meditation is too dry. There's something missing, because of course in meditation, but meditation is a mind approach, Buddhist approach, you know, and but you try in one way to understand, but on the other hand you try to let go of any concept of anything, but it is still working on the mind.
Mm,
Yeah, you understand? You just
mhm,
try to stop
mm,
your mind, or you go beyond the mind, watch your mind, or whatever. And but in in Satori group we have different koans, and one is what is love, okay, and
mhm,
uh, and so when I was working on that koan, what is love, something clicked in me, and actually I got a major what we call Satori, which
mm,
lasted for many, and because I suddenly fall into my heart. I think all the defenses of my protection of my heart broke open, and uh, it was it was because somehow I don't know if you have time, I just say this shortly. I mean, I was in that Satori. Why? How did this happen? Because the facilitator, he came to me because I was talking about some beautiful flower inside me. In Satori, you just follow what comes up, and then you say, "What are you talking bullshit? There is no flower."
mm,
And I got so angry, and I really totally freaked out, and I ran out of the group, and then the female facilitator brought me back, and I stand for that, and I said, fuck you, what are you talking about? Everybody tell all kind of bullshit, and finally I don't talk about my shit, I talk about something beautiful in me, and you want to put me off from that? So I was taking a stand for my heart in that, because it was
mm,
just kind of female heart energy, and then I something happened, which is a little bit indescribable, but uh, uh, a lot of love and joy and belonging, and everything just welled up actually from my hara through the heart,
mm,
and that made, I mean, the conclusion from that was that meditation alone is too dry. You need the heart, and the heart is the female part, and the meditation is the male part, and you have to bring that together. I mean, for myself, I mean, not
yeah.
everybody has to do that, but that happened for me, and it was, I mean, just incredible. Whatever I have read before, somehow about Satori and enlightenment or whatever, somehow I felt I had, for a few weeks, I had that
Mm.
experience. Uh,
It's
yeah,
beautiful how you describe it, and I'm always glad personally when someone who is a very good meditator or who's on that path and who's never really experienced I mean, you experience in moments when you're in nature and all that, you see the beauty and
yes.
all those things, but the heart part, which is just this joy and the
Mm.
it includes everything, it just accepts every and I'm glad when a man goes into that path. It just makes it easier.
Yeah, makes it easier.
Sometimes
And
as a
oh,
woman, you just come across as a little crazy or irrational sometimes when like
yeah,
the
yeah,
way you
yeah.
think is so
Mhm.
different. And the man is always like, "What are you talking about?" Why are you
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have to say that that actually Yog Chinmaya was also uh, helping me on that. I mean, I had some experience there too, but not so intense like there, and uh, but because he was working on energy, and I think he did the first things opening my heart. Because actually with Yog Chinmaya there was a lot of bhakti, a lot of surrender, to him, and I had also strong surrender experiences with him, almost close to death. He got me falling in the hole almost with a tractor, and but that is like chiseling off the outer layers. But at that time, I still felt bhakti is not my path. At that time, it wasn't. I wasn't ready for that, so I went back to Pune before, and I also see Osho is going to leave, so I went back there. But then I found it in that Satori group.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Prem Jayadip, for sharing all your wonderful experiences and the things you. If, for me, it's like funny. It's your childhood kind of coming full circle back when you something closes and then it takes all this while and you come back and it's beautiful. Life is beautiful.